Good evening. I'm Peter Groves. I'm the principal here at Harris Boys Academy, and I want to welcome you. I can't welcome you to our building, and I can't meet you face to face. And in these uncertain times and the difficult situations we're facing, that's a sad thing. But I am sending you my very best, and I'm trying to get across to you, albeit remotely now, how much we really are looking forward to meeting you. Really and truly are. So over the next few minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transition, a little bit about our school. And on this Teams application that you're in, this platform, you can ask questions. And at the bottom of the screen there, you can see that there's an icon that you click on, and you would just type in what your question is. And there's a team of staff who are going to answer those for you. And hopefully they'll get those answers to you live as we go through. And if they can't be answered at that point in time, or they think it's a really good question that everyone will need the answer to, they'll ask me that at the end, and then we'll share that. We're hoping that this film will also be put on the website, so please don't feel like you have to take down an awful lot of information and so on and so forth. So we'll get started. Now, I'm reminded by the fact that this school opened about the same time that you young gentlemen, the boys who are about to join us, were born. 11 or so years ago, and in that time we set up a school, and at that time when we set this school up, we had some values that we wanted to pass over, and those values are summed up, I think, really nicely in this slide. And the first thing is this idea that you can all achieve your potential, and I'm adamant about this. There is no limit to your potential. There's no reason why any of the boys coming to this school can't achieve their dreams, and their dreams should be unbelievably ambitious. I want to know why one of the young men who hopefully are watching this at home in their front rooms or kitchens or wherever with their family, why can't one of them be the next Prime Minister? Why can't be an astronaut? Why can't they be the next unbelievable entrepreneur who invents something that we'd never ever thought of before, like Steve Jobs? That's what I mean by potential. I mean potential to do the very best they can do, and that's certainly our number one driver of why we're here. The second thing is we are a really diverse school. We've got boys from all over the world. We've got boys with all sorts of talents. We've got boys with wonderful opinions and views, but we are all equal, and we're equal all of the time. And by that, I mean that we treat each other with absolute respect, and we're tolerant of each other's views and opinions. And we at this school can hold ourselves to a higher standard than the rest of the world. And I believe fundamentally that when you come here, boys, you'll appreciate that you've got a voice, that you feel valued, that you're exposed to other cultures and other ideas, and that through your time at the school, you'll navigate your way to understanding how you can take your views and opinions forward in the world as adults. But we are equal, and there are no bones about that here. The second thing, the third thing that I think our values are really core on is that we're a team. The staff, the students, the parents work together. Now you get one go at education. You get one chance to go through school. You're only ever going to have one first day at Harris Boys Academy, and it's vital that as a group of people, the parents and carers at home, you, the students and the staff, are on the same path, the same mission. And our mission is to give you the very best chance in life. Our mission is to look after you and make you feel valued and cared for, and hopefully help you to grow from young men, which you'll be in September, to young gentlemen to young men, leaving us when you're 18 years old and off to your apprenticeship or university or whatever. And then the last point I think is really, really, really important is this idea that we are not perfect. The idea that we as students at school will make mistakes. We as teachers at the school will make mistakes. I certainly make mistakes. No one here is perfect. But the idea is that we reflect on what we've not quite got right. And whatever it is, that we think about how we can do that better next time. And we build up key character traits like resilience and not giving up. And with that vision, we have worked over the last 10 or so years, and that vision's been really key to our success as a school. You know this because you've chosen us, and I really appreciate the fact you've chosen us as your secondary school. But these core values have helped us to become one of the most successful boys' schools in the country, year in and year out, year in and year out. So what does that look like for when you leave? And I always say this, the master key. That's what we're trying to give you. Now, boys at home, don't think that means that I'm going to get a ceremonial key, and when you leave the school, we'll give you this key that you can keep. You won't have a key like that, but you will have a key which will unlock the doors to your future. And it is two parts. And the most important part for me is you as a person, and we call that active citizenship. That you as a person are going to go into the world of work, into the world of your future, and you're going to be able to show people that you are truly a wonderful person. You're going to be resilient. We said that already, because the world is tough and we're going to take falls, but we'll get back up and we'll try harder. You're going to be respectful, and we've spoken about that idea of equality and treating people with the respect that they deserve. Ambitious, we've spoken about the idea that you're ambitious for your future. You're ambitious for where you're going to go. You're not going to settle. You shouldn't settle. You get one life. Ambitious for what you're going to achieve, and you're going to bring all those traits together, and that forms our active citizenship. And that couples with academic success. And we've got a proven track record at this school of delivering fantastic GCSE results, fantastic A-level results, and allowing our boys to get onto the pathway that they want to get onto. So what I referred to on the first slide about our vision, that's our dream and our goal. And this is what will be achieved at the end of it. I'm a happy man in the summer when the year 13 students come and get their A-level results, and they are off to their pathway, but they're also men who look me in the eye and they shake my hand, and they're really respectful of the people around them, and they're really courteous and ambitious for their future. And that's the active citizenship part. So it's really, really key. The academic is very important, of course it is, but the most important factor is how you are as a human being. Okay, so we're going to give you that master key. Now, how will we do that? We do that with our curriculum. And I'm going to come on to the impact of COVID-19, but I want to be clear to you as families and you boys at home, COVID-19 is not going to stop us giving you a broad curriculum. There is no reason that I can see that you shouldn't get all the subjects that we want to give you. The wonderful opportunity you've got. So the broad and balanced part is the idea that you're going to do English and maths. And we've got some brilliant English and maths teachers ready for you in September. And we're very aware that you've not been in school, some of you, since March. And so we are going to make sure that our curriculum, the time that you spend in our lessons, we also help to catch up and fill in any gaps that you might have in those particular areas. Because you are not going to be left behind because you were the year 6 students who missed out on 2 terms of learning. That's not going to happen here. We're going to make sure that we give you the very best chance to succeed. You get science, and science is a fantastic subject. Now, COVID-19 might mean that we can't do as many experiments as we want to, but you're going to be exposed to science teachers and where appropriate, the wonder of science and activities to link with that. You're going to do your language, Spanish. How wonderful is that? By the time you leave, you're going to hopefully be able to get a GCSE in Spanish and potentially continue on to do some A-levels or further pathways. And there's so much more to than just learning a language to studying a modern language. There's all sorts of cultural benefits. There's all sorts of resilience benefits. There's all sorts of benefits to how you learn. You then have a really good dose of humanities, individual lessons, geography teacher, history teacher, RE teacher, all specialists in what they teach. And that's the core curricula that we call with the EBAC subjects. And then in year 7, year 8 and year 9, you will have music, drama, arts, design and technology, computing, ICT, and you'll have those subjects regularly. Without COVID-19, you'd be having them every single week, but we're looking at a program where you're going to be getting it every few weeks. So that's the curriculum we offer, and that's the curriculum which is broad for year 7, but they're not just subjects. Our teachers have really thought about what it is that they want our students to grasp, to gain from each of the subjects, by what we call endpoints. So by the end of year 7, what is it that we want the boys to have achieved in their English, in their music? And those signposts, those end goals are really, really wonderful. And we'll be making sure that we share those with you and parents so you can support us to get there. So that's the curriculum. Now, we're not in normal circumstances. I'm sat here delivering this presentation, which I've delivered before in the Assembly Hall with the 200 people who are watching this at home, but in the same room. We're not in the same situation. So we've had to adapt to fit for COVID. But I am adamant to you as families that unless there's a public health reason, we are open, and we'll be open every single day in September to deliver this full and curriculum entitlement for your sons. That is what we'll be doing. COVID-19 means that we have to put in place some control measures, and we've been really good at doing that over the last few months. Today, for instance, we had the most students in the Harris Federation. We had over 110 students here because we had the control measures that we'll keep in force for September. But your young men, the reason why we can offer all these subjects is that your young men and you boys at home are going to come to school as a year group. When you get to school, you will be as a year group in your classes and in your lessons. You'll have your break time and lunchtime as a year group, and you'll go home as a year group. So at no point in your school day, sadly, at the moment, and we hope that changes by Easter time, or certainly by this time next year, you won't meet the other students in the school. And that's quite deliberate. It's to protect you and your families. It's to make sure that you are in contact with as few people as possible. But we as a school have managed to navigate our way to ensure that we can still offer as much teaching time as we normally would. Now, I'm about to show you what our school day will look like in September. Please, can you bear in mind that this is the timetable that's going to be in place probably for 2 terms, up until Easter time. When we can, and when the world is ready, and when we move away from the COVID times, we'll be able to get back to a different type of timetable. But I'm about to show you the day that it will look like. So again, this will be on the website, and there'll be lots of information that will follow over the next few weeks, and you'll see it from there. But here you go. I'll let you have a little look at that for a second, because you're probably working out, oh, what time do we need to get here, and how will that all work? Okay, so this is not your son's timetable. This is just an example. Okay, so don't all think that you're going to get English at the start of Monday because you're going to have different models of this. But this is how our school week will look. We are starting the day at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, so the boys need to be getting here, I think, around about 8:15. And the reason for 8:15 is it allows for any problems in getting to school. It means they can get to school and use the toilets and also wash their hands, which is going to be part of our processes. They'll then go up, and you can see on there that they're going to have 3 blocks of learning. 3 blocks of learning, and those blocks of learning are broken up by a break time and by a lunch time. And over the course of the week, they're going to gain lessons in all the subjects that I previously told you about. The only day which is different to this is a Wednesday. So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, the boys will finish school and leave us at 2:45. But on a Wednesday, okay, gentlemen, on a Wednesday, the school will finish for you at 2 o'clock. Okay, now clearly there's a lot of information to take in here. I'm not expecting you to remember that, but that's our school curricula with the COVID-19. The reason we've made these changes is so that we don't have to move around the building as much, because we need to keep the boys separate, and also our staff will be moving rooms. So when your son comes in, he'll be taught in the same room like you are at primary school, I suppose, all day, but the teachers will move to teach your sons. The only time they'll come out of the room is where we use specialist facilities. So when we do music or performing arts or sport, which is where we go off site for sport, they'll be done outside of the classroom, but at all other times they'll be in those rooms. Now, one point I haven't made on here earlier, and I think it's a good time to bring it up, is please know parents, please know that we grasp how difficult the last few months have been for everyone in the country. But for some of you, it's been exceptionally difficult. And we know this, and we know that the young men who have gone through this by missing out on the end of their year 6 and the uncertainty of the world and the news and so on and so forth, we're very, very aware of that. And yes, we've got this academic curriculum that you can see here, but yes, within this, we are building in a lot of time each day and each week where we're going to help the boys to reflect, to look at how they're feeling, to listen to their thoughts and opinions, and to take in what this has all meant for them. And that will be both on a school level, so through our assembly programs, it will be in a class level, so in particular classes, but it will also be on an individual level. One of the things that we're going to be doing is a little questionnaire when they come, which we purchased, which just sort of gives a picture of how the boys are feeling. And then from that, and from the information that our teachers are picking up, and from the information that we get from primary schools and the information we get from you, it might well be that we put in place some different types of support for some of the boys. But please know that we're here for them, to help them to adapt, to help them to thrive and be happy. And that's not going to just happen overnight because of what's just occurred. And we also know that we haven't had the normal transition. So this timetable, for instance, we would have followed if we could get the boys to school before the summer. We would have had a taster day where we could have done this and walked the building and so on. So we know that they've not had that opportunity. So we are going to invest more time to make sure we give it to them in September. So the very first day that they come, which would be the Friday at the end of the week, I've got the actual date at the end of this, they're going to be the only boys on site. And we're really going to make sure that we nurture, support and care for them. Okay, so I'm going to move on from the school day now. Attendance, and I'm not talking about COVID-19 now, I'm talking about your son's attendance. And these stats that I've got up here are really quite stark, but it is proven that attendance has a huge impact on achievement, on what children can do. Okay, if a child misses 50% of their school year, and this is DFE data here, so if a child only comes to 50% of a school year, and this is taken from year 11, then they've only got a 3% chance of achieving the national standard for English, maths, and the national standard of numbers of GCSEs. So you can clearly see that's an unbelievable impact. But you might think, well, 50%, I mean, come on, most people come to school more than that. Well, if you come to school at 90% or less in a year, then only 35% of those students achieve the national standard English and maths and the subjects. So just 10% off a year group, you might think 10% is not very much. In attendance figures, it is. If you're missing that much time at school, unfortunately, you're limiting your life chances. The boys are limiting their options, what they're going to be able to do in life. And there's a clear link here, because you can see the boys who have over 95% attendance, and our average attendance at this school is about 96.4. We've got some of the highest attendance figures in our Harris Federation and in actual Southwark. 75% of the boys achieve national standards, which is roughly what we get as a school. So my clear measure to you here, boys and families, is under normal circumstances, you need to get to school and you need to be in school, because every time you miss a lesson and every time you miss a learning opportunity, you're falling behind and you're limiting your opportunities and chances. Now, I say that's my normal message, and it still stands. It still stands. But we have to say, what about COVID-19? Now, COVID-19 is very clear on this, is that everyone should be attending school in September. Shielding comes to an end on the 1st of August, therefore everyone should attend in September. I'm putting in place very good control measures to protect you, your families, your sons. You know, you're trusting your sons to come to school, and when they come here, I expect, and I've got no doubt you expect of me, to keep them as safe as possible and that when they return to you, that you're safe. I also have a staff body that I thoroughly care for and are a key driver in my decisions, and I want to keep them safe. So attendance matters, and everyone should attend school in September. The only caveat to that is if a child in September has got COVID symptoms. And then you would follow the process which 111 stipulates, which is you would call up, you'd have testing, and then you'd let us know the outcomes of those tests. But certainly, if your son has got those symptoms of the temperature, a continuous cough, and so on and so forth, they shouldn't come to the school. But you would call us to let us know, and then we would support each other to find ways forward. Okay, and obviously, as I said, if there were questions, you can put those with the icon and we will hopefully answer them as we go, or I will address them at the end. But in the big picture, the biggest inhibitor, the biggest reason why people don't achieve is because they've missed out on some school. And so please, please, please know that right at the top of our agenda is being here. Okay, and the boys love coming here, and they really well are looked after, but that's a big factor. Okay, so I've gone through quite a lot. And I suppose really I'm now talking to the boys, and what I'm saying to you is this: what do you need to do to be a success? What do you need to do to come into this school so that you feel thoroughly on top of everything, that you enjoy your learning, that you're happy? And this is my answer: that you have high expectations. If you go on a 5-star holiday, okay, you expect 5-star, okay? You expect the business, don't you? You spent the money on that. That's what you'd expect back. If you go to a top quality restaurant, you expect the same. Well, you're coming to an outstanding school and you should have very high expectations of us. I have very high expectations of us. But I also say I have very high expectations of the boys. Why should you settle for not being 5-star? Why should you settle for not having the highest expectations of yourself? And in the areas that I'm talking about, that you have these, that when you come in September, these are the sorts of things that I'm going for. I've got some icons here, and they're kind of, hopefully you might be able to work out where they're linked. But I'm going to start off with this one here. 2 hands shaking. That symbolises the highest expectations you have in terms of how you treat each other, how you treat our staff, how you treat members of our community. And the way I'd expect you to treat them is how you would wish to be treated yourself. But we have the absolute highest expectations on our conduct, our manners. We expect people to say good morning to each other. We expect people to ask how each other are feeling. We expect you to be kind to each other. And those high expectations are really, really clear, because if you treat people like that, they will treat you back the same way. And there's a certain, there's a really nice emotional feeling that you get back, and you feel comfortable and happy where you're in a building where people are smiling, where they greet you, where you know you've got a voice and that you know you're respected. Now that said, and that's my ideal and dream, and that's what happens 99% of the time, but children are children, and actually adults can be adults in the sense that people can be cruel and people can be unkind. And that is where that's where I'm very clear, and I have a very clear line in the sands here, which is if anyone doesn't want to do that, if anyone in this community wants to be rude to people or wants to deliberately upset people, then unfortunately you need to change, because that's not going to be tolerated. And we deal with those in a very clear way. We help and support, and we help people to realise where they've gone wrong and reflect on their actions. But just to be crystal clear here, when you come to this school, the expectation is that you treat people how you wish to be treated, to the very highest level. And as I said, most of the boys get that right most of the time, and where they don't, we help to support them. Okay, so that's that one. I've got this one here, which is an arrow hitting a target, and that goes back to our very beginning. Don't settle. Don't settle. You want to be the best you can be. Don't think, oh, I've got 60% in the test. Yeah, I'm really pleased. Well, next time let's get 65%. Or what did I get wrong? Because I'm going to work on that next time. You know, if you're asked to do a reading challenge or a set of books to do, then set yourself a higher target. And the key here is always striving to be better and always striving to find out what you can do. And that's not just in your academic life, that's in everything. You know, how can I improve the next day? What can I do better? So having high targets of yourself. I've got this icon here, which is a book with a light bulb, and that symbolizes learning. Okay, our job here is to pass knowledge to you so you can go on and thrive in the world and so on. But our job really is to alight your thoughts, to alight curiosity, to make you want to question, to make you want to learn. And the expectation of you is that you try and that you learn and that you ask questions and that you give everything a go. And you don't think, oh, I can't do art, so I won't draw. Well, yes, you can. Come on, try harder. Find out what it is that's not quite working. Practice, practice, practice. And you will overcome. And there's a clear correlation, a clear link between people who put the effort in and what they get. And what I'm saying here is put the effort in. Really try hard. Okay, so that's about learning. There's a man down here and he's got a clipboard and he's saying that you've got to follow some of our rules. Okay, now I've been at this school since we've opened, and what I'm saying to you here, families and boys, is that I'm strict. This school is strict. Okay, we're strict because if we get these little things right, then the big things take care of themselves. But by being strict, it means that we have good rules that we explain and that we enforce them in a very clear educational way, and we support the boys to get it right, and we reward them when they get it right. Okay, but please don't expect to come here and you know, stand up out of your chair without asking, or shouting out an answer, or walking around with a mobile phone, because that's not going to happen. Please don't expect to come here late and that be okay, because it's not okay. Because when you get a job in the real world, unfortunately, if you're late, your boss, your employer is not going to be very happy about it, and the parents here will know that. So these common values, these common rules we have are all about respect, equality, and doing our very best. So they're there for the right reasons. And boys, they are there to support you. And the majority of boys get it right. I've then got two more to go through. I've got this picture of the globe here. And what that symbolises is I want you to take those high expectations that we have of you out into your communities. I want you to be an ambassador for our schools, so that when you are at church or at your football club or the mosque or wherever it is that you're going, that people think, oh, that's a really charming young man. He's got great manners and respect. And they might ask you what school you go to. And no doubt that your family obviously are already very proud of you, but no doubt that we'll then be able to get some of that pride back as well. Likewise, when you get the bus on the way home, if you see an old lady trying to cross the road and things like that, the way you interact with people outside of the school when you're in our uniform has a real show on what we stand for. And as you can see here, we stand for wonderful values. So the expectation is that you behave as well as you do in school, out of school, and that you are there showing the community what a wonderful group of young men we've got, and how we're trying to make the world a better place, which is what we're trying to do. So that's about outside of school and community. And then the last one here is just about uniform, and I'm going to come on to the next slide here because in a second, because that will go on it. But uniform for me is the first thing we see about you on your first day, the first impression we get, and therefore the first impression we get is going to be the same as I expect from my staff, that you're smart, wearing a uniform, your top button's done up, your shirt's there, and you look the business, you look ready to learn, you look professional. And uniform here is pretty clear. You have you wear it to the best standard. There's no trainers, there's no shirts untucked, top buttons are done up. And when you walk around a school and everyone looks like that, you know that this school has got high expectations. And boys, wearing your uniform to that level is really good for your life skills, for when you go for interviews, when you get married, or whatever else. So that's that part. Okay, so there are high expectations. So I'm almost coming to an end. I think you might be relieved to hear that, some of you, but I just want to give you some additional points. Uniform I've just spoken about how we wear it, but you will no doubt want to know, well, how do I get this uniform? What's happening with that? We took the decision this year to try and find the very best price uniform supplier that we could. And we have done that as a group of schools. Stevenson, who are the uniform provider for next year, are able to undercut the blazer price from last year by almost £20. And for me, that's a significant thing we've done. However, their supplies and COVID-19 has meant that they're not quite ready. They will be ready in mid-July to be taking your orders, and they will be getting the deliveries to you in mid to late August. But please don't panic about that. We'll have it on the website. It already is up there, and you can see the price list, and you can work out what it is that you need to get. And then you can make your orders once the website goes live for them, and we will make sure we email that to you and make you aware of that. But I do want you to be clear on this. The expectation is that you purchase our blazer, okay, and you can see it's on there. It's the lovely blue with the orange piping. You need to get the school bag, okay, and you would need to get our jumper if you want your son to wear a jumper. They don't have to wear a jumper. That is your choice. That's optional. The tie comes with the blazer. If you buy the blazer, you get a 3 tie from Stevenson's. Now that and the PE kit are the only things that you need to buy from that supplier. And I'm telling you this as a father myself, the school trousers, the white shirts, you can get where you can find them at the best price for you. Okay, so if that's down at Tesco or wherever, Asda or Primark or wherever it is you want to go, you get it at the best price for you. But please, please, please make sure that they are school trousers. And the way you tell that is that they have got non-lined pockets on the back. When you wear jeans and chinos, you've got that pocket on the back. George, do some trousers like that. They're not allowed. Okay, and I'm saying this to you now because people have made this mistake before and correcting it after is difficult. So you want to buy normal school trousers where they don't have those lined pockets on the back like you get on a pair of jeans, but get those from wherever you can. And you know, maybe the year 6 trousers are still working, so that could be a money saver there. The other thing is our school shoes. Okay, we wear school shoes. They need to be polishable shoes, and shoes are a huge purchase, mums and dads and carers. And I want you to know that you don't have to go out and buy really expensive shoes. Of course you don't, but they need to be polishable shoes. Now, on our website, there's a very clear transition page, and there's a link to uniforms, and there's also a link to our uniform and equipment policy. And in there, it's got some pictures of shoes that you can wear and shoes that you shouldn't wear. And before you make your purchase, I'd have a look at that. Or if you've got any questions and you want to send a link, you know, you can send us a link to the info page. We'll tell you, yeah, they're fine, or don't get those. Okay. And it's all about making sure we get this right now so that we don't have to correct it in September. So that's the uniform additional points. These are regularly asked questions, so I thought I'd address them in the conversation now. Lunch money. Your lunch, boys, next year you're going to have, and we are working on having a contactless system. So parents, you'll be encouraged to use what we call parent pay, and you'll be sent information about that, but you'll be able to top the boys' money up at home, so no money needs to come into school to ensure that we're not spreading or contagious. Money being passed to people obviously is not very good for COVID. If there's problems with that, then we will try and support you. Okay, then the boys will all be issued with a card like I've got here, and they can tap just like you can with a contactless card. So that's the lunch money part. Extracurricular is something we're really proud of at this school, but obviously COVID-19 makes extracurricular a little bit difficult because we can't have year groups together. Some of the activities that we want to offer we might not be able to, such as rugby, drama, and so on and so forth. We can offer them, but we might not be able to do it to the same level of contact and the same level of closeness that we would normally do. But I am adamant that COVID isn't going to stop our boys having some opportunities. So in September, we will ensure that your son has got some extracurricular that he can attend. I think it's really important that we're still nurturing that outside of lesson curiosities and talents and so on and so forth. But we are going to be slightly limited because of the COVID-19. Okay. Homework is a big part about what I said about learning and high expectations. And there is a clear link between boys who complete their homework and how they achieve at school and how much they enjoy school to the boys who don't. So we publish our homework in booklets, and we're looking at how we're going to use our remote platform to support with that. And then there's the crossover. Now, we know that you've missed school for a period of time. Some of you have been back to school. Some go every day, some go every other day, or alternate programs depending on your primary school. But we want to give you a list of summer activities, not to make you work all summer, not at all, but just a booklet of some interesting tasks to do across some of our subjects, so that you can do that over the summer, and then you'll bring the booklet in, and we can reward you with some praise and have a look a bit about yourself. But there'll be summer activities there, including a reading list, including a bit of an experiment that you can do at home from the science department, and the like. Okay. And then the last point is there are actually about 20 of you who we haven't got the information booklets back from. And that information booklet that you've all filled in is vital for us. Not only does it tell us where to communicate with you, but it also tells us key information about your son, his medical circumstances, and so on and so forth. But with COVID-19, it is also really important that we've got up-to-date contact details in case we need to contact you for public health reasons. Okay, so they're the additional points I've gone through there. Okay, so finally, this page here tells you that we're looking forward to seeing you, and I can't tell you how much we are, boys. Seeing you come in September, and we know how it will be. Your mums and dads and carers will probably make you take a photograph in your uniform by the gate, and you'll be really worried about coming into school because you might not know so many people, and you certainly, unfortunately, haven't been able to come here and meet us face to face. But that feeling that you'll have is totally normal, totally normal. And when you get here on Friday and about 8:15 and you see us, you'll realise that this is going to be great. And then you'll come in and you'll have a really good induction programme with our staff to support you. And I would imagine, like the other Year 7s who've come here before, you'll be telling your parents what a brilliant time you're having and how happy you are at this school. And we're happy that our boys are happy. But I'm the head teacher here, and the commitment that I make to you and you boys and the families is that this school's got to be good enough for your son. And I know how important your son is to you, because they get one chance in life, and they're your most prized possession is the wrong word, but they're the most prized thing in your life. You know, and being a father myself, I know that. And so the trust you're putting in us, we will pay back to you, and we will work together on that. And I really look forward to working with you. The website there has got key information. Our transition page has got information about uniform. There's some lovely videos on there as well from staff who are welcoming you. The head boy is on there saying hello. There's a tour of the building so you can see what it looks like if you can't remember from when you came for the open evenings and so on. And there's also a page about what Year 7 said last year. So there's lots of engaging material on there to hopefully reassure you over the summer. And finally, do contact us on the transition email if there's anything in particular that you need, any particular support you need, or any questions that you'd like to be answered. So that is the end of me talking. I thank you for listening. I'm now going to ask the teachers who've been listening if there are any pertinent questions that you want me to address.
Yes, please, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one from Karen who has asked, when will the boys be allocated to their house so we know which tie to get? Okay,
thank you very much for that question. Ordinarily, we do organise our school in hubs, in ties, and that's something that I value as a school. I think it's got immense pastoral power. But in September, because we're going to be in year groups, because Year 7 have to be on their own as the Year 8, Year 9, Year 10, Year 11, Year 12, Year 13, they're going to be as a year group for the first 2 terms. And then what we'll do once we're allowed to revert back to the normal structure of school, we'll then allocate the boys into their hubs. Okay, but in year 7, I'm taking my hub model, which is where I have an assistant principal who runs a hub. So a hub, if you don't know, is a group of about a quarter of the schools, some year 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s and 11s. One AP will revert to be the person in charge of the year 7. So we'll have a good pastoral system in place, but the tie colour won't matter. But we'll make sure that we get a good number of ties spread across the year group, so that we can place the boys in a hub at a later date. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Peter. And one more. How much for lunch money? Okay,
so the meal deal, which is the price that you would get under normal circumstances, where you get a hot main meal and a dessert, is £2.30 in September. Because of COVID-19, we're offering hot food, but that will be done more in times of like a grab bag with maybe a pot of pasta, or a curry in a pot, or something like that, and a drink and a snack will be about £2.30. They will be able to purchase some other items, but they aren't for the £2.30 price, and we'll have a price list which we've got at the moment on our website for this year, but there'll be a new price list for September. But the boys can bring in a water bottle, which they can fill up at school, and then £2.30 gets them a really good, nice meal. So that's kind of the minimum that you'd want to spend. If you want them to have a couple of other things like a breakfast, a break time item, sorry, then you might want to top up the funding there. We've got a limit on it. And the limit is there to protect boys who sort of and families who put the parent pay money on there, and after a few days they spent lots of money buying lots of food. So there's a daily limit on that, which you can increase or decrease as a family. Okay.
And we've got 2 other questions that have popped up, really important questions. What about children who need extra intervention? How will these be delivered?
Okay, and that's a really good question. We are, as I said earlier, COVID-19 has come around, but we're not going to let that defeat us. We're going to make sure that we can offer as much as we want to. That's why we're going to offer all the subjects within each year bubble or year hub group. We're going to be able to put in place the support within the curriculum time. So there's additional English and math support. We're going to set the classes as best possible from our primary school information, so that boys have been put in ability groups where students have got a similar starting point to them. But because we haven't got year 6 SAT information, we're just trying to get as much as we can on that, and there will be a bit of testing when the boys come. And then support around it is we can still do breakout support. So there will be still other opportunities for the boys to come out of the bubble they're in to receive perhaps some enhanced literacy or numeracy, or maybe some counselling or mentoring, or whatever it is that they need. We still should be able to offer that, but we just need to do it in a really COVID safe way, so that the room that they go in is not had another boy sat in the chair and it's all clean before they get there, that the staff are 2 meters apart from them and they're 2 meters apart from the staff, and that we limit how we share resources. But all those problems we can solve so that we can support the boys to get the academic help or the pastoral help or whatever it will be. There is no doubt in my mind that over 5 to 7 years of being at the school, there's going to be a time where every single one of the students needs some support or help in one shape or another. That will still be there. Okay.
And how many students will we have per class?
So we have 150 students in our year 7 cohort. The group sizes will therefore vary from between 28 going down to around about 20. I've had to reduce one of the groups. Usually I have 7 classes in year 7 and 8 and 9, but in order to offer the curriculum I can, and in order to ensure that I can staff a building with instead of having just 2 lunch times next year and 2 break times, I've got 10 that I need to staff. And because we've got the staggered starting times, we haven't got as many, we haven't got as much flexibility. So we've got groups of 6, which is still one more than the government would expect me to have for 150 students. They'd be expecting every class to be about 30. And we've then got as we just said, we've got the intervention support where we can pull students out. So the groups are still very good. And once we get past the COVID situation, we will be able to revert back to the class sizes of old, which is, as I say, about 27 in the top sets, and then the middle and the lower sets being more around the 20 mark. Okay.
Brilliant. And then we have another question. It says, how will you handle social distancing during break times? Will there be lines on the floor and ground saying where we can be and where we can go?
Yeah, okay, brilliant. We are going to split our playground in half, and the year sevens will have their own zone on that playground where year seven can interact. They're going to be outside. There'll be clear guidelines on what they can do. Now, they need to play. They need to get some fresh air. They need to run around a bit. They need to do what they need to do. You know, these are young boys growing up, and I imagine with many of you homeschooling, and certainly boys homeschooling, you'll know that. So it's vital that they get outside. It's vital that they get a good opportunity at break time and lunchtime to do those things. When they're outside, the social distancing factor is really that they should be around about, as a bubble, year group bubble, about 1 metre will be fine. And certainly prolonged periods of time, they should not be next to each other in an enclosed space for a prolonged period of time at less than 2 metres. Okay, so break time is fine. They're going to be outside. The canteen will be is well ventilated and is large, so the boys will be able to sit in there at a good distance. So the only time that they're not going to be at the social distance that you'd expect, which is still 2 metres in my mind, and then 1 metre plus where you can't mitigate, will be when they're in their classroom. Now that's quite clear, because if I'm only allowed to put people in the building at 2 metres apart, then I can't have more than, as I said today, about 100 or so students on site. What we can do with this is your son will be sat next to the same boy every single day. He'll be sat behind and in front of the same children every single day. So they are a bubble within a bubble. That class will be the same class every single day, the 25, 28 boys, whoever, how many are in the room. So they are a bubble, but the boys they're next to are their like really small bubble. So they're protected by the fact that the room has only got 26, 27 people in it. The teachers will be in the classrooms. They'll be at a good distance. So your sons will come to school. They'll sit at the same desk every day. They will use the equipment that we've given them every day. We will not be encouraging them to bring items from home, and we won't be giving them items to take home. So the idea is they'll come in, they'll wash their hands, they'll then sit at their desk, which is their desk that no one else has been in. They'll complete their work. They're surrounded by boys who are always next to them and near them. And then when they go to their break time, they're in their year group bubble. Okay, but that can be at a closer distance outside and fresh air and playing around. And then when they go back to those areas where they're going to be for a period of time, they're always next to those same people. And by doing that across the whole school for every single year group, means that we can open up a school of 850 odd students and offer them a full education, which is key for me. They've missed too much time in school, and therefore are safe as we can make them, are protected, but the key thing is they're nurturing, their well-being, their learning, are able to carry on as best we can make it. And I tell you, I'm quite proud of the staff and what they've been able to put together for all the boys here, because it's going to be as best education that we can offer with the restrictions and the guidance that the government have given us. So I hope that reassures you. If you've got further concerns or anything about that, then I'm happy to speak to you on a one-to-one basis, but that's where we're coming from. Okay.
And another question, Peter, really interesting one, says, do the boys have to take exams and put them in the right class according to the results they score? So it's probably worth talking about how we're going to make our classes work.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and we were talking about that today. We're going to do our very best to get information from the primary schools, okay, and you're going to get written reports, I believe, from primary schools, which will give you an idea of how your sons are getting on. You know, if you get those, they're good to share with us, because that gives us a bit more information as well. We've obviously got some of the screening tests, the admissions testing data, but we're going to get as much data as we can. I don't want the boys to come to school and just sit in the exams. You know, they've not been in school for a period of time, so we're going to glean as much as we can from the boys. And then that first half term they're at school, they'll be put in the best classes that we can for them. but then that half term comes and we have a 2-week October half term, so we can then readjust classes, but giving the boys a break. And the reason for that is we can't move boys within a bubble very easily. Okay, so if the bubble starts, that's the bubble, but we can move the bubble at half term because there's been over 7 days gap. So we're going to get it as best we can, and any information you can share with us will be useful. And then in the October half term, we will then adjust our classes. Okay, so that's the plan, and we will get to know the boys very, very quickly. But our staff are very skilled people, and in foundation subjects, so music, art, DT, they're not set anyway, so it won't make a difference. It's the English and maths classes that we want to try and get as best we can, and then after the half term we'll have a lot more information from teacher assessment here, and we'll be able to support the boys by getting their group right. Okay. Okay,
thank you, Peter. And our final question: can the boys bring a packed lunch?
Yes, of course they can. Of course they can bring a packed lunch. Yeah. That's absolutely fine. What we want to do is limit the items that the boys bring to school and take home, but a packed lunch is absolutely fine to bring. And likewise, we're trying to work out how we can get the boys library books, because we'd like them to be able to take a book home to read. And so we're not saying things can't come in and can't go home, but we obviously need to prepare ourselves to, if there's an item that's been in a school and then comes to your house, you know, that's something that you want to be wary of. And likewise, something coming from a home to a school is something I want to be wary of to protect our community. On that point, there's an interesting thing that I've decided in the last 2 days is I want the boys to do PE, and changing rooms aren't great for COVID-19 because they've got lots of surfaces and so on. So on your son's PE day, and you don't have to worry about this on the first day because it won't be a PE day, and we will ensure we text and inform you, but on the PE days, the boys would come to school in their PE kit with the blazer over the top, and then they won't need to get changed, and that will really help obviously them to be able to do PE. So that's another point. These are some of the adjustments we're able to make because of we've had to make because of COVID, but sensible ideas so we can still offer that broad balance and wonderful enriching curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. That's all of our questions.
Okay, so if that's the end of the questions, I'm going to stay on now anyway. So if there are more questions that you want to ask on the chat function, then you're very welcome to. But thank you so much. I can see there's lots of people attending. There's been over 200 people attending this. I really thank you for coming to it. It shows an immense amount of support for our school. And I do hope if you've got any other questions or so on, that you do ask them. And know that we're really excited and looking forward to seeing your sons in September. And I remind you that we genuinely know how much trust you're putting in us as a school. And working together, we will be able to help your young men become the boys that you want them to be and that they can be. So thank you very much.